Welcome back to Brother Owl's Garden. I'm Brian, and I honor your presence here today. I'd like to take a look at the Gayatri Mantra. The Gayatri Mantra comes from the Vedic tradition. It's chanted in Sanskrit, and it is said to be the most powerful of all of the mantras. I suppose you could debate that if you want, but it is certainly, if not the best, it is one of the best that you could ever learn. Whenever you're chanting, especially if it's not in English, I never chant in English. English doesn't work. English is a language of business and describing and kind of categorizing. It's excellent for that, but it doesn't work spiritually for me. So I prefer to chant in the root language, Sanskrit, or as we looked at the Lord's Prayer, in Aramaic. And it's very important when you're chanting a language that may not be your mother tongue, that you understand the true meaning of what it is you are chanting. That is crucial. Otherwise, you're just some robotic parrot. And I think you're short-circuiting the whole purpose of the chant, So let's examine what is the meaning of the Gayatri Mantra. There are numerous potential interpretations. We'll just give a general interpretation or translation of the meaning of this mantra so that you have a very good foundational sense of what it means that you're chanting when you're chanting it. We meditate on the glory of the Creator who has created the universe, who is worthy of our worship, who is the embodiment of knowledge and light, who is the remover of all sin and ignorance. May He enlighten our intellect. This is the general gist of the meaning of this mantra. It is a praise and worship of the Supreme Creator, the Great Spirit, God, the Supreme Entity. It doesn't matter if you say Him or her. God is both and yet neither. So it's important that you understand, what the meaning is so that you can curry the correct intention within you. That's what's powerful, is the intention behind this mantra. But also what's powerful about this mantra, which is definitely something we need to acknowledge, is that these Sanskrit words themselves are sacred tonalities. These words are sacred. They are sacred sounds. They evoke spiritual power when spoken, just like the word Om, which most people mispronounce as Om. It's not Om, it's Aum, A-U-M, Aum. And that is the resonance and the frequency and the sound of creation. Aum. It's a very, very powerful word. That can be a mantra in itself. So let's look at the Gayatri Mantra, the words that we are chanting. We begin with Aum. Aum is a perfect sort of setting the foundation for the chant. Aum, Bhur, Bhuva Swaha, Tat Savitur Varenyam, Bhargo, Devasya, Dhimmahi, Dhiyo, Yona, Prachodayat. Some versions will say Prachodayate. It's optional. If you're ever doing a chant where the syncopation requires that extra syllable at the end, there you got it. Prachodayate, if you need it. But most of them seem not to use it. So I would call it optional, but not normally used. But certainly not incorrect at all. It's correct. So again, Aum, Bhur, Bhuva, Swaha, Tat Savitur Varenyam, Bhargo, Devasya, Dhimmahi, Dhiyo, Yona, Prachodayat. Of course, I have this in the description section. I've transcribed this phonetically. Again, I don't speak, read, or write Sanskrit, but I wrote this out in the way that it it makes the cleanest logical sense to the eye so that it can reach the tongue and be spoken the correct way. So I made it as simple and clear as I could. It looks the way it sounds. Of course, there's fine tuning. We have to be careful that we don't have too much of our own accent. I know I'm probably doing that to some extent, but to the best of my ability, I'm speaking it as I've listened to it countless times from Indians, from Hindus, speaking it the way they speak it. And I've tried to emulate that as best as I can. So you want to do that. For example, words like Savitur, it looks like Savitur. Well, it's a very American accent. It's Savitur Varenyam. You'll get it. Now, this mantra can be chanted proper, chanting, or it is often also sung. And I hope I don't get the sounds crossed in my head. So this is the way it is chanted, which happens to be my personal favorite version, but I also do sing it as well. And, you know, as St. Francis once said, who sings prays twice. But I prefer a chant to be chanted. And so the chanting goes something like this. Bhur Bhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimmahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Bhur Bhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimmahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Bhur Bhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimmahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat ad infinitum. You may wish to chant this on a mala 108 times, or you may wish to just play it for a certain amount of time, you know, chant along to a recording that you may have for as long as you want. But when you are chanting this mantra, and any powerful mantra, you are speaking spiritual power into your realm of being. This is speaking power. These words are spiritually charged, powerful words. And to even hear this mantra is spiritually empowering. To chant this mantra is even more spiritually empowering. You are attuning yourself to a divine frequency in praising the Supreme Spirit with the intention behind this chant as you chant it. It can also be sung, and it's usually sung to this melody. Bhur Bhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Bhur Bhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimmahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Bhur Bhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimmahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat ad infinitum. So those are the ways that this mantra can be chanted and sung chanted. And again, please understand the power that is behind a mantra like this, said to be the most powerful mantra in the Vedic tradition. Perhaps there may be another that's also as powerful or whatever, but it is certainly considered to be the most powerful one. There are Hindus who will chant this thousands of times per day. So if you can incorporate this into your sadhana, I think that you will find chanting this mantra to be spiritually transformative. And I'll give you another tip. I do what I call remote Reiki. Most people call it distance Reiki. I call it remote Reiki because I don't like to accentuate the non-existent factor of distance. It's remote Reiki for me. And when I do this, when I am performing a remote Reiki session, I will also simultaneously chant the Gayatri Mantra or the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic or some other sacred prayer and chant while I'm doing it. And it adds another layer of power to the spiritual practice that I'm doing. So I hope this has been wonderfully, amazingly useful to you and that you can incorporate it into your personal sadhana. I bless you. I thank you for being here today. And I remind you to always abide in thankfulness for your highest good, in the most benevolent outcome of the divine will.